Okay, we are in Medellin. What's Medellin without making your first stop, the Pablo Escobar Museum? And that's what I will be doing today. Here is the Pablo Escobar Museum.
No te explico. Esto dura 45 minutos. Vas a ingresar junto con un guía, es dependiendo. Bueno, nos falta la primera y la tercera. Okay, first of all, I'm going to give you the rules. The recommendations are no touching, no smoking, and no vaping. That's it. Photographs and videos are allowed everywhere. Okay? And to be in context, you should know that this house wasn't a house that belonged to Pablo, so he didn't live here. He only used this place to hide himself or hide his money. Right now, we're gonna go inside of the bunker where he used to hide his money, as the same way that Pablo used to, through a voice command.
Okay.
Welcome.
Now, is this for the museum or this was?
It's the same mechanism, we just changed the password.
But this was real.
It was exact.
Okay. You never shit, right? So this is a stash house. Smells like a stash house. Musty.
I think he used to weigh the money because it was too much of a pain in the rear to.
I think when you have that much money.
And also, he had a 5% waste per year because the rats.
Just off the top, the
The
rats.
rats are decomposed.
I like your tour better so far. So here we are. This is the English tour. And many faces of Pablo Escobar.
I find that one hard to believe.
Yeah.
That's very.
I think we could put our picture up in that one.
Now guys, people think that Pablo's problem was the cocaine, but actually that was the easiest part in his business. The hardest part, or his actual problem here, was money, because he earned $69 million a day for 10 years. That's our money, and that's why he decided to build this type of house in Medellin. The government found 50 stash houses that belonged to him, so 50 properties just to hide himself or hide his money. And this was the bunker for his money, as you can see in this painting. He only saved here 150 bills and also gold bars. The bunkers had similar characteristics, for example, high security doors. This is an original door from bank in Switzerland, weighs half a ton, and it's bulletproof and bomb-proof. The walls are completely reinforced in steel and concrete. Humidity control because the weather here in Medellin changes a lot. And tunnels, just in case he needed to escape. This one was closed by the police and the government when they confiscated his house, but back then it used to link with another 3 apartments 250 meters away from here. And this tunnel was also the entrance to the other bunker where Pablo was hiding himself in this property. So if you guys want to go in and record a video, be my guest. You can also take a picture with him or taste the door. When you're ready, we'll continue, okay? Take your time.
This just looks like another room of the stash house. I'm sure we'll find out what this is. A shrine of some sort. Locked, of course. Very cool painting.
Now guys, this is actually a representation of the holy boy of Atocha. Atocha is a city in Spain, and this was Pablo Escobar's favorite saint, because he was Catholic, so he was devoted to him. And also his mother used to believe in that. Hermilda Gaviria, Pablo's mother. She was a teacher and she died in 2006 because of diabetes. Pablo Escobar, Pablo's father, was a farmer, and he died in 2001 because of a heart attack. Now these are the siblings, but first you should know that the family was divided into two parts. People who supported Pablo and people who didn't. People who supported him, his mother, his brother, Roberto, the only one of the family who was getting involved in Pablo's business, because he was the real account of the Medellin Cartel. When he was in jail in 1993, he received a lead bomb that exploded in his face and left him partially blind and deaf. But he is still alive. He lives 8 minutes from here. Gloria Inez supported Pablo as well, and she was his favorite sister, so she's the richest one. She lives in one of the best neighbors in Medellin, 35 minutes from here. And good news, she's still single. People who didn't support him, his father, and these siblings, Argemiro, Alba Marina, and Luz Maria. They never get involved in his business. They are living here in Medellin. She lives in Sabaneta neighborhood, 25 minutes from here. She lives in Envigado neighborhood, 15 minutes from here. But Argemiro is the only one of the family who doesn't live in Medellin anymore because they look alike.
They do.
The people used to mistake them. That's why he lives 3 hours from here in Guadalupe, far enough. And Luis Fernando was Pablo Escobar's younger brother, and he was the first who passed away. He died in 1977 when he was only 19 years old in a car accident. Now let's talk about Nicolas. Nicolas is Pablo's nephew, Roberto's son, and he owns this museum. He's my boss. He used to live in Switzerland because that country was a tax haven. So there he managed 45 bank accounts with Pablo's money, $36 billion. He decided to go back to Medellin in 1994, 1 year after Pablo's death. And with a big part of the money, he paid a negotiation, like a peace agreement to Pablo's enemies, the police, the government, and the Cali Cartel. So he paid them in exchange of security and protection for his family, and that's why all of them are still alive. They have a normal life in Medellin because of him. And with the rest of the money, he created this museum 6 years ago. Because when Pablo died, the government decided to confiscate everything that belonged to him, but then they put that stuff on sale, and Nicolas just decided to buy them back to create this museum. That's why it's the only official museum of Pablo Escobar, because he has like a connection with the government. Do you have any question about his family?
You know the chap, that chap who lives 8 minutes from here? Yes. Does he need like special protection still?
Yeah.
The whole family needs that.
Yeah. Now guys, this way. This sculpture, it was a gift from the artist to Pablo Escobar. The artist is Julio Londoño. Pablo gave him a scholarship in Europe. He studied plastic arts in Italy, and when he came back to Medellin, he gave this sculpture to Pablo as a thanks present. The name of the sculpture is the Sinner Angel because it's a virgin, but it's pregnant. So it represents a sinner and an angel at the same time, like Pablo himself, because he helped a lot of people here in Medellin, but he also killed a lot of innocent people in Colombia. Now the tourists start to write wishes on bills, then they drop the bill inside, put the money in here, and they wait that Pablo make those wishes come true, like Saint Pablo. And 3 safes that were taken from Pablo Escobar's 3 most important properties. This one was taken from the Monet building, it was his main residence here in Medellin. This one was taken from the Hacienda Nápoles, his largest property with the animals and livestock. And that one was taken from La Manuela farm in Guadalupe. Pablo used these safes to hide documents, that involved politicians in the cocaine business, just in case he needed to blackmail them. So if you guys want to take more pictures here, for 10 seconds, for 5 years, the war considered like the bloodiest time in the world. About Pablo's death, there are stories, but according to the official report, he was here at one of the slash houses, like this one, but in Laureles neighborhood, also in the city. And he heard some gunshots outside, so he tried to escape through the roof, but he was completely surrounded by his enemies. And the Colombian policeman Hugo Vilar shot him, and he was the person who killed Pablo Escobar with a long-distance shot in the lower part of the ear. That was a police report. But Pablo's family was not completely convinced about it, so they wanted to make another investigation, like the second autopsy, and they exhumated Pablo's body in 2001. They found some details that the police didn't report, and they figured out that Pablo didn't die because of a shot in the lower part of the ear. They realized that it was a shot inside of the ear, and that he also had a mark in his bony ear and hand, like a tattoo, the same mark, which just can happen with a low-range shot. Also the body, but with his own hand, like this. So he committed suicide. He killed himself. That is the actual story of what Pablo said. The police, they just changed the story because the US government, they were offering $10 million in exchange Pablo dead or alive. So they changed the story to put the money and the credit as well to glorify them. And Pablo, he used to say, I prefer a grave in Medellin than a jail in the United States, because the extradition was Pablo's biggest fear. And that's why when he saw that he was completely surrounded by his enemies, the Colombian government, the US government, the DEA, the Colombian police, Los Pepes, and the Cali Cartel, he just preferred to kill himself. His grave is here in Medellin, in Montesaco Cemetery, 45 minutes from here. And also there is Gustavo Gaviria's grave, his cousin, and Griselda Blanco's grave. Have you ever heard about Griselda Blanco? Most known as the cocaine queen in Miami, the Black Widow. We're gonna talk about her later because she was part of the business as well, okay? This is his father, Pablo Escobar.
You'd rather die in Medellin than be buried in or prisoned in the United States. Oh, I don't know what this is.
The Hacienda. The size of that place was 15,000 acres. He had 2,000 animals there, and actually that was the largest zoo in Latin America. He also had dinosaurs in actual size, like statues for his kids, and 3 gas stations. Why not? 2 on the ranch just for him, and these one outside on the highway for the people who passing by. They could use the gas station for free. And he also hired a flight simulator in order to make trainings to the new pilot to Medellin Cartel. Because if you want to be a pilot, back then you have to fly with some dangerous conditions, like flying low height, so the radars didn't detect you in the jungle at night, no lights, without internet, GPS, so it was dangerous. And that's why the motivation for them was the money. $8,000 or $10,000 per trip. They made 3 or 4 trips a day and 5 or 6 days a week. Back then, so it was even more. Now in the upper part, 2 racing cars.
Very cool. Pablo Escobar had gas stations, several just pumps on the roads for his people. Some of his toys. I don't know if you heard, but this is a flight simulator that he would train his pilots in. They made $8,000 to $10,000 per trip. They would make, I think they said 3 trips a day. So obviously some considerable amount of money.
Government confiscated 25 cars and they just reported 6, like this one behind me. The Pontiac Torpedo 1941. The seats are made from leather and the buttons and dashboard are made from ivory, and the car still works. It's not composite. And Pablo bought these cars as a protection because they congressmen, because they were called the beast in the United States for the president. Because the body is completely reinforced in Kevlar and the glasses are 1 inch, like this. So the only way that a bullet could pass through glasses with 3 shots exactly in the same spot, which is almost impossible in a moving car and with a long distance shot. So these are Mercedes presidential level 5 in bulletproof. The weakest point are the tires, because the bulletproof system for the tires was created in 1995, and we're talking about the 80s. So Pablo had his first attempt in Bogota in 1984. He was in this car with his driver, and the police, they figured out that Pablo was a drug trafficker, and that's why. Sorry. Hi guys, welcome. Where are you from?
Indianapolis, Indiana.
Sorry?
Indianapolis, Indiana.
Okay, welcome. They are from United States and UK. Okay, my name is Valeria. I'll be your guide today. So, he had his first attempt in Bogota in 1984. He was in this car with his driver, and the police, they figured out he was a drug trafficker, so they decided to shoot him. But he could escape because he used the other one as a decoy to distract them. Because they are similar cars, but they were his bodyguards and a person who looked like him. And that's why the decoy received 65 shots, and this one, 20 shots, with AK-47, 9mm Glock, and shotgun. Actually, there is a bullet that is still in the bulletproof system.
You said this is a news politician?
So we're in Medellin. We are at the Pablo Escobar Museum. And yeah, checking out some of his toys. Flight simulator, gas tank. The story about the gas tank is he had those on his property, as well as in some of the roads, just for his people. Pretty insane. I would like to know the story behind this Pontiac. It's got a lot of Mercedes, but this looks like it's from the era of Al Capone, not Pablo Escobar. All right, so these are some of the Mercedes that Pablo had when he was a politician. 1 inch glass, bulletproof, Kevlar. So, I mean, you can see this thing took a hit.
Super heavy, not having acceleration.
That frame's got to be pretty solid too, huh?
I wonder if they put like this is before Kevlar. Well, not really, but not Kevlar either.
She mentioned Kevlar.
They would put it, this like fiberglass.
The other side was black bike, and this was Pablo's idea to confuse the police. They robbed 20 banks in Medellin with this bike. Now that's Pablo with his mother, Herminda Gaviria, and Pablo with his cousin, his best friend, and the second in Medellin's cartel, Gustavo Gaviria, who was killed by the police on August 11, 1990. This is the helicopter where Pablo had his first and only crash when he was coming back from the Hacienda Nápoles to Medellin in 1985. It was just an accident and he survived. I mean, everyone survived, his cousin and the pilot as well. Now let's talk about Griselda Blanco, most known as Cocaine Queen Miami, the Black Widow or Godmother. She was the first person who could transport cocaine from Medellin to Miami with women, the mules. They put cocaine on their bodies and then just went to Miami, just like that, moving kilos. At some point, they wanted to move tons, and this was Pablo's first idea for moving tons, for the massive transportation, tires. Because they could carry 7, 60, or 150 kilos of cocaine, it depends on the size. He put tires on containers and then he sent them on cargo ships or Russian submarines. But the water and the cocaine don't get along very well, and that's why he changed the water for the air. He bought a military plane and a Canadian plane. They could move 5 tons each one. They made 3 or 4 trips a day and then sold the cocaine in Miami in $8,000 or $10,000 per kilo. So do the math. That's how he became one of the richest men in the world, according to Forbes magazine. And as I told you, he earned $69 million a day with this business. So the planes for moving the cocaine, but the small planes for moving the money. For example, that's a replica in wood of a small plane that we have outside. This is the original. With this one, Pablo moved money from Panama to Medellin, and with that money, he bought his largest property, the Hacienda Nápoles. That's why he created a replica and he put the replica on the gate. That was the gate in the Hacienda Nápoles. Right now, the place is owned by the government. They turned the place into a water park, and it's 5 hours from here, in between Medellin and Bogota. Now let's talk about Pablo's project, Medellin sin tugurios, which means Medellin without these type of houses. And the project was for these people who were living in extremely poor conditions. So that's the before, and that is the after. He built 5 neighborhoods. That is just the most known. Pablo Escobar's neighborhood in Comuna 9. It's 25 minutes from here, so it's still there. He gave them 500 houses, completely furnished, food, clothes, and of course that's the reason why all of them loved him, respected him, and supported him as well. Get this picture like if he were a president when he was just a congressman. But of course he had the support because all of them voted for him years later. On the piano, right there, and the karaoke machine, both were gifts from Pablo to Nicolas. Do you remember Nicolas?
Karaoke machine.
Nicolas. And the owner of this place. I told you that he studied in Switzerland. So that was Nicolas in Switzerland. His house, his car, his first credit card, Enrique, it's his second name. In the Hacienda Nápoles with his pet, an elephant that is still alive. And in Egypt, with Gustavo was a guy that founded his housing for robbing banks. So he made money, and then started the business cocaine. So we're talking about the 70s, no cameras in that time. And the whip, basically, he could transport cocaine or money in each hole, or in each side, and then just put a cover piece, and that's it. Complete. Nowadays, it will be impossible, right? But back then, the airports didn't have security systems, no technology, no internet, no cameras, no scanners, no X-ray, nothing. So it was easier for taking the cocaine in Miami or bringing the money back to Medellin, okay? You guys want to take more pictures? This is a picture of La Catedral, the prison that Pablo built for himself after he made a negotiation with the Colombian president, Cesar Gaviria. Pablo asked him to remove the extradition law because, as I told you, the extradition was Pablo's biggest fear. If he removed it, then he could get inside of the jail. But it has to be his own jail in Medellin. That was the deal. So it was built by Pablo in 1991. And the first day that he was inside in his cell, the police took a picture of him because they wanted to send a picture to the US President, George Bush Sr., like the proof that Pablo was in jail, like the evidence. But come with me, let me show you the picture, guys. The middle one. A joke. Got him so comfortable with a Russian head in the middle of the Cold War. And the gate is open. No luck, okay? As I told you, ironically, he was Catholic, and actually the person who was in between Pablo and the Colombian president was the priest. Rafael Garcia Herreros. He was the mediator. He convinced the Colombian president to make a deal with Pablo Escobar. And we will say this is the most famous or iconic picture of him, right? He was coming back from Ecuador to Medellin in 1977. And the police caught him for the first time with 20 kilos of cocaine in his car. But 20 kilos was nothing for him. He was moving tons every day in Miami, and that's why he's smiling. He paid them, and 3 hours later they released him. But years later, when he was a congressman, the Minister of Justice, he found a picture. And that's why he figured out that Pablo was involved in that business. Because for 10 years, he was moving cocaine to Medellin and Miami, and nobody knew it. They thought he was a racer, that he was a philanthropist, but when they found the picture, they realized that he was a drug trafficker. And that's why Pablo killed him. He killed the Minister of Justice, Rodrigo Larraonina, on April 20, 1984. And of course, that's the reason why the war between the Colombian government and Pablo Escobar decided. That was like the beginning of it. And this is a replica of this in La Catedral. Let's imagine that it was inside. So it's going to be like this and it would be locked here. And it seems like it's locked, right? But it's not, yeah. Because the lock will be here, not here. So if you guys want, you can go inside. Then you close the gate, I will take a picture, and then you send that picture to your family and tell them that you're in jail in
You
Medellin.
want to talk more about the
Go
jail?
ahead. Sorry?
You want to talk more about the jail? Well, number one, he built it for himself. Number two, that his space was monstrous.
Yeah, it was
Number three,
like-
that you have
like private property.
female
Sounds like the
visitors.
unofficial
It's like
tour
a
guide
alcohol.
from El Paso,
Then he brought
Texas.
in the national team to play soccer.
Yeah, also.
Yeah.
They play soccer plays with Maradona.
There's the replica of the Pablo Escobar jail that they built. And I'm pretty much feeling like Pablo Escobar right now. I don't know, that almost looks like Obama.
Here in Medellin, if you want to have a private museum, you have to support a foundation. So here at Pablo Escobar's Museum, we support Reteniment Foundation in Comuna 13 with some donations that the tourists make in this part of the tour. Here, but you have to drop a bill, you gotta put a bill, doesn't matter currency or amount, and that bill is going to turn on the light so you can see what is inside through the window. This was the bunker where Pablo was hiding himself for 2 weeks after he escaped from the jail in 1992. Because when he escaped, Pablo's hunt began. And that's why he decided to build these type of houses in Medellin to hide himself or hide his money. Do you remember the first bunker that we saw at the beginning with the tunnel? That tunnel was the entrance of this place and the only way to get in. So if you guys want to support the foundation and also see what is inside, go ahead. In there you will find some stuff that belong to him, like typewriters, telephones, TVs, picture of his family, also the high security door that was the entrance of the tunnel, and the size of the bunker is the same size. I mean, he was hiding himself in this bunker, specifically only for 2 weeks, but in those type of bunkers for a year and a half. Okay, if you guys want to do it, go ahead. If you don't, let's continue.